And so primarily we do a straight length. You guys are doing them in centimeters, right?
Pardon me?
In centimeters?
Yeah.
So from the tip of the nose to a non-curled up little darling, which can be very tricky. You get them when they're relaxed.
There you go.
And right to the base of the tail, so about 66 centimeters.
Base of the tail, flippers. Why is it the base of the tail and not the flippers?
Just because that's the standard, that's the body length, and you know, I guess we don't care how tall they are when they're standing up. And then are you doing the axillary girth as well?
Actually,
Okay. Is there a spot for that on the level A form?
no, there's not.
There's not. Okay. Well, there is another measurement, and we'll see. It may not be on our level A intake form, but that's getting the girth of the animal right behind the flippers. Yeah, it's about 45. So, and with any of those, you know, you don't want to stretch it tight. It's kind of like what's a comfortable fit around the animal. And then in some cases, you'll also do a let's see which end is which. Called a curvilinear length, where you'll actually just go on the curves of the animal, starting at the nose and laying it on the animal, and it's usually a longer length than the other. In this case, it's just about the same.
Doc, is that something that you would do if you couldn't get the pup to lie flat for you to get a straight length?
No, because all the measurements we get on all the animals that we would compare statistically are usually straight length on the axillary girth. So, and then measuring respiration, heart rate, and temperature. So the easiest way on these guys, there's not really a good place to feel a pulse. So generally the heart rate is obtained with a stethoscope, and so everybody's got a different technique. I like to count for 6 seconds and add a 0. So we'll tell you what this guy is.
Tell us where you're
It's a bit
listening.
upward to watch. The second one over there. So I counted 9 in 6 seconds, and I do it a couple of times because it can be variable in these guys. You know, when they're in a breath-holding mode, oftentimes their heart rate changes dramatically because they have it's called a sinus arrhythmia.
Where are you putting this stuff?
Well, the heart is pretty much right behind. If you picture this as his little elbow right here, and if you put it back, it's right at that point on his chest, down kind of near the bottom. And you know, these guys, especially with the Lanugo coat, he's got a lot of insulation between the stethoscope and his heart, so you have to kind of push in, or if they're wet, it's easier to hear them. And then as he sheds this coat off, it'll be a lot easier. And respiratory rate, these guys can be very challenging because it's, you know, you can easily see his chest rise and fall every time he vocalizes. But, you know, again, with respiration, because it's typically slower, you want to count them for like 15 or 30 seconds and then multiply appropriately.
So you said you got 90 on the heart rate?
What was it before?
It just says on here, which is from the husbandry book, 130 to 150 is normal for hopper seal.
Yeah, his is kind of slow right now, which is a little surprising because he's in kind of a happy mood. And his respirations are about 22 right now. So then you always want to, you know, evaluate the umbilicus. His is pretty much, it's drying, it's not completely dry, and looks like he's probably kind of traumatized because it's coming off a little earlier than you would expect. Because usually it's attached right up to the abdominal wall, and then as it gets completely dry, like the end here, that's usually when it'll fall off. But yeah, his is just about off.
How old did you say he probably is? Is he premature?
He's probably 4 or 5 days. The first pictures of him that were taken, his umbilicus was just completely wet and pink. So he was probably just a few days old.
He's prematurely, I think, is about fur.
Yeah, because he's got the completely white coat. So.
And you think it's maternal separation? Is that what you call it?
Yeah. So, and then of course, then comes sex, and we usually rely on Steven for this. So, typically, if you look and there's one hole that's visible, it's a really good sign that it's a male. I always still like to feel and find a little os penis down there, which is the bone in the male genitalia, and if it's a female, you'll see a pretty obvious second opening right below it. So you note things like the moisture around his eyes, indicating that it's really